Hi guys, it's Christina Bina. So unfortunately I had to redo this entire video. It is storming outside and my lighting is probably super off because I have to use my actual living room light because there's too many clouds in the sky and it's pouring. It's pouring rain outside. It's actually kind of nice. Most of my experiences I was not alone. There's always somebody there with me who would experience the exact same thing. So take this with a grain of salt. If you believe in this stuff, awesome. If you don't, then that's awesome too. And I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but it is pouring. I can't see all my windows. There's so much rain. Kind of eerie. I'm doing ghost stories and it decided to just pour. Cool. Good on you, Mother Nature. So, I used to be a carried. Why I'm not anymore is a whole different story. We won't even get into that. So, there used to be 3 buildings in town. They were all different levels of care for our seniors. I worked in long-term care, so that was pretty much Alzheimer's, dementia, people who were actively dying sometimes would come. If their loved ones couldn't care for them anymore, that's where they would go. All in all, it was a pretty good job. I actually didn't mind it. Even the ghost experiences there, as scary as some of them were, I do kind of miss it. So these 3 buildings, 2 were dedicated to long-term care. 1 was an old hospital. I happened to work at the old hospital and the one that was closest to our river. If you're into the paranormal, some people do say that spirits can actually travel across rivers. So they come with the river. They flow with the body of water and travel that way. So you're combining a care home where there's lots of death with a river which could potentially carry spirits to said care home. It kind of makes for a perfect storm. And that is the building where I had the most paranormal experiences. The old hospital, it was just creepy. It was eerie. It was old. There was lots of death there, but there was nothing tugged on you, nothing spooked you. I never heard footsteps. I never experienced that kind of stuff at the old hospital. It was more or less just some of the residents there who would kind of scare you, right? They would be staring into the hallway. They'd be walking down the hallway. You wouldn't know they were there. Just that kind of stuff. That's all that really ever happened there. Every once in a while, I would walk through a cool spot. That didn't happen too terribly often, but it did happen. In the other building, though, there was quite a bit that happened there. Some of the ladies there told me that there had been happenings where metal had been bent. So through one of the emergency exit doors, there was a metal railing sunk into concrete, which was completely bent over, and they allegedly said that it was a ghost who had gotten very upset and was making all this racket, and it bent over and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't there when it happened, so I can't be like, yeah, that so happened, that totally happened there. I don't know that for sure, but that is one of the stories that I have heard from there. I did experience something super weird down that hallway a few times. I've seen shadow people down there. I have experienced doors slamming and rattling in residents' rooms where they are not mobile and cannot reach these things. I've had windows that I've personally closed myself reopen. I've seen a fair bit of stuff in that place. And once they closed these and they turned them into one building, somebody actually purchased that building, and it is still to this day a care center for elderly people. And I haven't been back since, and I don't know if I can bring myself to go back. One of those experiences happened with, I would say, 4 or 5 separate residents. And what happened was we were all at the nurse's station charting, and this lady started screaming, "Get that man out of my closet." So sometimes with dementia they wander, and sometimes men end up in closets. Sometimes people go shopping and they pick up stuff that's not theirs. We have to collect at the end of the day, put it all back, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't unheard of to actually have somebody in somebody else's room. So we figured, oh man, like here we go, you know, so-and-so is in so-and-so's room, and oh my Lanta. It's, yeah, normal. It was normal. Until we walked into her room and there was nobody there. Not a single person other than herself was in that room. And once we had gone into that room, the person next to this lady had started screaming, "Get that man out of my room." So we ran, and like there's maybe 3 feet, 4 feet at most in between the doors. So it takes like 2 seconds to get from this room to that room. And we ran into the next room, and there was still nobody there. Not a single person, just lady in her bed. That was it. That was the only person in there. And it carried on down this hallway until it reached somebody who was nonverbal. So it just kind of ended there. And it was a little bit eerie. It was a little bit nerve-wracking hearing not one or two, but like four different people hollering to get this man out of their room, but there was no man. So that was a little bit on the weird side. It's also said that with dementia, they have a connection to the afterlife. I don't know if that's how you actually want to explain it or say it, but they're not fully in the living, but they're not fully in the dead. They're kind of in limbo, like they can see stuff that we can't see, just because their brain is a little bit different, because it's slowly dying, it's deteriorating, it's shrinking, right? So they're able to access different parts of their brains because the other parts that they've been using are dying. I don't know. It's a long, complicated list of why and how. Alzheimer's and dementia is definitely something that we don't know a whole lot about. It's a disease I don't wish on anybody, but it runs rampant. It is everywhere. So many people have it, it's crazy. Anyways, I'm bunny trailing off my stories. Oh my goodness. So with that experience, it wasn't just me who had seen it and heard it. The shadow person at the end of the hallway, we were doing rounds in the middle of the night, and me and a coworker were pushing our rounding cart down the hallway, and we both saw the same thing. And we looked at each other like, oh my god, like, did you see that? We both just kind of froze for a minute. And when we did rounds, we would just go together but go into separate rooms. And as soon as we saw that, there was no more separate. We did everything together from then on. We were not comfortable doing it by ourselves. And yeah, so sometimes we would just assume that it was a resident walking down the hallway, or they were in somebody else's room. But in reality, there was nobody there. And I have so many stories that I could tell you. That's all I'm going to tell you for now. Don't forget to check out my Instagram page. I do post there. I don't post there as much as I'd like to, but I do post there, so definitely go check it out. It's pretty cool. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about these ghosty stories. I know this video is probably super short again, but they will progressively get longer and longer and longer, and I'm just trying to figure out a day that works for me and my one friend. My niece also wants to come as well. They want to come to the graveyard with me. But I was trying to decide on whether or not to do it on a full moon or a new moon, or it doesn't matter. So definitely comment down below on what you think we should be doing, but I will definitely have that video up when we go do it. I just have to figure out a day that works for everybody to go do it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!